Yacht a Scorpio. Welcome to Navajo Sage Weaver Tarot's channel. Welcome. This reading is for you. I already pre-shuffled and pulled out your cards and laid out the storyline here for you. And also, I am going to draw some cards from the uh, Wisdom of Elder and read the meaning from the book, and then also the feather from the divine. See what other message Spirit has for you. All right, so I am going to shake the gourd and move any stagnation, and then we'll start your reading. All right, Scorpio. Let's give this up. Split it in half. So we have 33 Spirit Talker communication, 40 talking circle listening, 1 card for Scorpio. Oriole, a new creative venture is on the horizon. See it as a positive change. All right, those are the messages. Going to read this. 33, Spirit Talker, communication. The spirit world permits all aspect of life, and we are all part of the connection. There's no place spirit is not. The light of the other side exists within everyone, and each one of us is spirit having a human experience. We came into the physical world from spirit and will return as we make our journey home. Mother Earth provides the space and opportunity for us to grow, experiment, and gain wisdom through our many lifetime. The development and expand of our spirit is dependent on us living in physical world. Indigenous people have always been connected to spirit world through our words, ceremony, and practices, and the term spirit talker reflects on this deep connection to the other side, which is accessible to everyone. Immerse healing can and does take place when it is understood that people in the spirit world can do can and do communicate through validating healing messages. It is through trusting the language of spirit by providing heart-centered spirit message to others that both worlds can be bridged since death does not exist. It's an illusion. The Spirit Talker card takes time to deepen your connection to spirit world and to trust the message you see, feel, hear internally. The more you learn to trust what is being communicated by spirit, the easier it will be to validate the spirit message that comes through to you. Now it is time to consider deepening the language to spirit in your own life by taking a course of spiritual focus, mediumship, development, or by truly trusting the message that comes through to you in daily life. 40, talking circle, listening. The talking circle has deep in history and has been used for centuries within the Micmac culture. Inside the circle, everyone is equal and all voices are heard, respected is given to those who speak. And there is an exception that all will listen. It is a way to remove barriers and allow expression to take place with complete freedom. And as it becomes more popular in the mainstream society, the structural framework has been utilized to build relations and address conflict within schools, counseling sessions, and every inside the court of law. The chairs are arranged in a circle so that when you sit, everyone it will face one another. And like more other ceremonies, a sign of respect to the grandfather son. The ceremony is held in a clockwise wise direction. Everyone enters through the east opening, walking within the parameters of the circle. When all are seated, the opening is closed and the ceremony can begin. The leader explains what will take place and hands an item, which is often a talking stick, to the person sitting within the circle. This signifies that only the person holding the talking stick may speak, and everyone else within the circle is given their undivided attention to the speaker. Once the speaker finish that they wish to express, they pass the talking stick to the next person in a clockwise direction. But there's no pressure to speak, and the talking stick can be passed along to the next person. The talking circle card, you or someone you are connected to does not feel heard. There's a reluctance to speak openly at this time, and this card is a clear sign to become a more effective communicator and more active listener. Healing may be needed in sociality, social, social, social teal, sense, sociality, sense, and an opportunity may present itself to you, allowing you to speak openly and frankly about subjects that you would normally keep private. So that's the message from the wisdom of the elders. And so, Scorpio, let's see what the storyline and the tarot is. And we'll see what the message is for you, Scorpio. All right. So, Scorpio is starting off and bringing in the energy of the Two of Coins. So we have some balance here. Priority, you know, you can, sitting here, loving your loved ones, learning, managing, being able to manage your responsibilities. Also, um, you feel secured, you know, uh, looking at the leftovers, right? Some choices, juggling task. You're you're taking the challenge on. You're rising up to it, right, Scorpio? So that's the energy we're beginning this message here. And then when you when that happens, the Nine of Pentacle energy comes in. And the Nine of Pentacles is that indep independency, the self-efficiency, the rewards of your hard work, the Nine of Pentacle energy is that you made something from nothing. There's a appreciation that you have for yourself, Scorpio, at this time of um, the sense of feeling accomplished, right? Because look, before, your hat is different, the way your clothing is, and you put some work into it, and look at you now, you know, your hat's different, your clothing's different. And then we bring the Four of Cups energy. You're understanding your resources now. You're staying in the moment. And then the Two of Pentacles energy is reinforcing the balance, right? You're um you're making sure that you're gonna have security. You're gonna have um because it's, coming in, the image here is different, Now, you have a way to move those tasks, right? Before they were clinging on to you and you had to put them wherever, hold them differently. Maybe it wasn't feeling too good. Like, look at her face. Look at the energy of this face, overwhelmed, you know, taking care of all these chores and, now, you found a way of being able to move forward in that, you found a way to move it. The Two of Pentacles, finding balance in it. And then, it's come in here twice because it's saying to you, Scorpio, making you really be aware of it, right? Because the spirit talkers and then the talking circles, talk, talk, listen, communication. So maybe you're trying to you do that, move those energies in that way. And then the Six of Wand energy, you're recognizing that it's process, it's not, something simple, and so you have to put in the work here with the Six of Wands. Um, want to conquer, want to feel, that your ideas are good and you want to put them in practice. Looking at each one, on your horse, and now you were carrying, right? You're carrying all this coming in, and now it's something's carrying you, helping you, spirit, being guided. And then here is the Queen of Swords energy, making sure you have clarity, anything that comes towards this energy, right? Because now you picked out which one, and the energy is now a sword, and you're like, come on, Anybody want to take this away? I'm going to use my sword. I'm not afraid. I'm a queen. I'm, I'm sharp-minded. I'm going to use my mind and I'm independent and I can stand on my own too, because I struggled and I work hard here. And I learned how to keep the energy moving without feeling like I'm doing a lot of work and spirit reminding us that, And so with the Six of Wands, you're looking at these before you make that choice. Sometimes, when we think that we make that choice, right? Sometimes spirit comes in and, you know, throws another choice in the mix. So maybe this kind of came out of nowhere, or maybe, you brought this in a long time ago and you forgot about it, right? And so now the choice is here with this Two of Swords. So, and you're a little defensive and, you know, you, it's something that you want, but, this other one too is something you want. And so now, you got to throw one of these swords back in the fire, remelt it, give it back. Um, and you don't want to. You want to protect it. You want to, you're a little defensive, but you have to make a choice. And then when that happens, right? When you finally make that choice, um, the wheel, it's just the wheel of fortune, you know, your luck comes in, opportunities, good fortune, you know, good uh cycle changes start coming in, right? And then um the Page of Pentacles energy, looking at those opportunities differently, right? Because they're not all the same. You got some berries, you got some flowers, you got pentacles, so now, you know, um, you get different types of flowers. So you get to kind of take your time, look at it. Don't rush, right? Because you never know when spirit's going to throw a curveball in your path. And so it might be something that you desire too. And that is really hard. And then again, the Six of Coins here, the Page of Coins, it's saying, look, this here, it's saying, look at, look at it really close, right? Um, look at your material growth, uh, because enjoy it in the moment. Also, the Page of Coins, is sometimes, we might, when we're looking at that material realm, we might kind of get diverted a little bit. You might get wrapped up, absorbed. And so, this is, um, so it's like look at all your options instead of just looking and paying attention to the one thing that just looks, that just comes to you, you know? So spirit is telling you to pay attention, really highlighting that, you know, don't just remember you have the flowers too, and the berries and the other things around in your environment too that can help you and support you in some way. So don't just focus on one choice, And then when you finally see that aspect and you open your eyes and turn around and you see all these different choices, um, the Knight of Swords energy comes in. Um, you finally moving forward with the plan, uh, but Spirit is also, you know, um, reminding you to, this is an energy of being bold, kind of having that because your idea is new. And so they want you to be, uh, when you take action, you know, make sure you are determined. Um, because we can be hasty sometimes when we have a new idea coming into our life, right? Mm. Because there's these inspire, when something that you align with, So Spirit's just telling you to just, slow down, Here, got a bunch of opportunities. And then the Eight of One energy here. Uh, letting us know, that we're gonna take actions now. We're going to put our new ideas and move it and then you know, leave, take the one that you need and let the others go and let go your direction and, you know, and so maybe communicate, you know, and asking spirit to help you, listening to your intuitive, right? Um, and then finding strength in that here, look, you got one, two, three, four, five, six lion, in this image, you're standing here, your silhouette. Mhm. And so finding strength, the energy here, is that sometimes our internal struggle, it's not easy to tame, right? It's not easy to let go of things and move forward. It takes courage and things we don't want to see, right? Um, that cause nast disruption in our life, right? In a horrible way, maybe. Sometimes that happens. Um, what's horrible, may not be horrible for somebody else, and somebody might have it more horrible than you, but you don't know the situation of others, and so you can only know what situation you're going through. And so having that strength to understand your internal struggle and then being able to take courage to tame it, you have to go into this hermit energy, your inner strength now is looks like some sort of um stag, right? Big old antlers, taming it, calming it down, talking to it, you know, understanding yourself in this hermit energy by being alone, you know? And then when you're able to listen and communicate, right? And create new uh creative virtues, that's on the horizons, you know, see it as a positive change, right? And people will start seeing that, right? And then finding the justice in that, the balance, because you had that intro, the intro spectrum, right? The intro spectrum of who you are, because you took accountability here with the justice card here. And then, when we do that, when we start trusting ourselves and listening to our intuition, we become learners like the page of Chalice here, you know, learning how to be open again, learning how to trust ourselves to be open, learning to be creative, to all kinds of opportunities. It's not easy sometimes, we talk about it, we say it, but doing it is different. The Page of Chalice energy, finding solutions you know, to, to make your situation, your life, you know, not so hard all the time, finding creative ways, coming up with creative ways, trying to uplift yourself, and also accepting help through spirit, communicate, because nobody's going to do it for you, right, Scorpio? Then the Seven of Pentacles here, being patient, reflecting on your growth, looking at it because you're put into hard work. You're finally moving forward in that direction. And then the King of Swords here, having that clear decision making. When you finally start learning or understanding what direction you want to go into and things start making sense, and you start kind of pushing yourself in that direction more. And sometimes, we don't even know the direction you're going in or why you're going in that or what's happening, why, you know, um, you're having, days where you're, you know, being let go of a job and, just these things that give us this change in our life, with the energy sometimes, and then taking lead, right? The king right here, he's holding up his sword, taking lead of his life now because you're seeing your progress yourself. When you start seeing it, you start becoming an authority, and then here is, the death energy here. Um, and the death energy is just you're having this transformation, this ending. You're having an ending here, letting something go, right? Um, also, a new beginning. And then when this death energy too is reminding us it's just another step on our journey that we are born to experience in our life. And then we die and then go back to our roots, right? So there's this cycle, this transformation that we go through, with ourselves spiritually, mentally, physically. Then the Three of Swords energy sneaks in, having feeling to watch your back, right? Um, some sort of deception here, feeling emotional pain, right? Of the death of transformation, letting stuff go. Because when we see the things that, how we tamed our lion from, eating, sabotaging, right? Um, it wasn't easy, to go through these steps here, these different types of energy, feeling them. So now, you know, we have pain and we have to have pain in order to grow, so now we have to feel it. And so now that you feel it, right, you're ready to get back on, you know, you choose the right, tamed it, you know, um, taking charge, allowing the process. And now the Knight of Swords here. And then the Knight of Swords too is here, right? So repeating cards sometimes, is just really highlighting the focus of charging forward, really fearless, or, it's a reminder to balance your impulsive energy, right? So sometimes we're beings of, you know, uh, act before you think. And so sometimes that energy comes in. And so spirit just reminding of us that impulsiveness. And then just, consider thoughtfulness, um, and, but also mindful and, of the consequences too of your choices. So the energy of the Queen of Wands, feeling confident, the Queen of Wands energy, finally finding that flame, that energy of your creativity, right, Scorpio? Um, you're the one that's starting to take charge. And then um, the shadow side, right? Because when you start taking charge of yourself, right? And then not Uh, when you finally start figuring out, oh, okay, this starts working, right? Then something else sneaks in, a feeling comes in, and through a human computer, right? And it illuminates here, like here it starts illuminating those shadow aspects, and we have to start looking at them in order to work, right? Work through them. And sometimes we have a lot, and sometimes, but we have these things that that are our shadow attribute too, that you know that are that we're just part of who we are as human beings. So this looking at them and telling yourself you no longer need to fear that part, look at it, start feeling it and communicate, you know start listening to yourself and start letting them go. And that way the energy can start helping you move, because you end your story here with the Knight of Pentacles. And the Knight of Pentacles is reminding us that, the more that you nourish or nourishing those shadow attributes, right? Nourishing those accomplishments, nourishing and letting go, taking what serves you, regardless of it being, a heartbroken, uh, emotional pain, because transformation is here and you have the strength within it. Or otherwise, uh, spirit doesn't give you more than what you can't handle. So, and then Also, the Knight of Pentacles, um, this being dedicated to yourself here. So I would say that is your message, Scorpio. So I'm just going to say, Scorpio, thank you for allowing me to do your reading today. And I just want to say, I hope this reading has given you inspiration or help you in your journey. And Hojona Hasklin, Hojona Hasklin, Hojona Hasklin, Hojona Hasklin.